everybody! Today I am going to tell you what I read in the month of January. Admittedly, it was not a lot because I wasn't feeling too well in the beginning of the month. So yeah, I ended up finishing 3 books, but technically I was reading from like 5. So I have one book which I read like 100 pages in, and then another book that I almost finished. So we'll talk about those books in the end, but let's talk about the books I did finish. So the first book was The Shattered Lens by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 4th book in the Alcatraz Officers, The Evil Librarians series. And I don't want to tell you guys what this is about because spoilers. But basically in the first book we meet Alcatraz, and on his 13th birthday he gets this sort of mysterious package from his dad that he did not know was still alive. And basically the evil librarians steal this bag of mysterious objects, sand, from him, and then the next day this random dude rings on the door and says, hey, did you know what? I'm your grandpa. So it's all very weird. But yeah, basically people in this series has symmetry talents, meaning they can do a bunch of weird shit. Alcatraz can, for example, break stuff, and they're one guy that can get lost, and another guy always arrives late to things. So yeah, it's a very funny story, and I am loving this series so far during my reread because I have read this book before. But yeah, I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. And then the other book I read was A Time of Blood by John Gwynne, and this is the second book in the series called Of Blood and Bone. And this is the second series that I read by John Gwynne, and he's very quickly become one of my favorite authors of all time. I love his stories. And basically this series takes place like 100 or so years after the Faithful and the Fallen series, and we get to follow some descendants of Corban and his friends from the first series. But this is basically what happens when the Benalim, like the sort of good angel type guys, and also, you know, demons roaming the earth, and basically just like humans getting stuck in the middle. So yeah, it's a very interesting premise. There's a lot of war and kick-ass characters, and just a lot of plot twists and dark malicious death basically, and I love this series so much, and I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars as well. And then we have Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. And the first book, basically Amari is looking for her brother. He has been missing for a couple of months. They don't really know what happened to him, and of course they involve the police, and Amari and her mother keeps telling them that maybe he disappeared because of something to do with his job, which was very top secret. But the police keeps insisting that he was not registered, he was not working for anyone, he didn't have a job, so they don't really know what to think about that. And then one day Amari gets this sort of mysterious package in the mail, and she finds out that her brother in fact went to this sort of magic school, and she herself gets to attend, and shit goes down, to say the least. And it's a very fun series, and this being book 2 in the series was definitely a great continuation. I do think I preferred the first book a little bit more though. But yeah, I don't want to say why because spoilers. I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then we move on to the books that I almost finished, and that was Unlocked by Shannon Messenger. This is the 8.5 book in the series Keeper of the Lost Cities. This is sort of a, what do you call it? In the end we have a novella. It's like 250 pages or something like that. But before that we have a sort of a, well, we have some illustrations from the characters and the different worlds and like fauna and stuff like that. We've got some recipes. There's also more of a like character arcs. You get to know the characters more. We get reminded of events and stuff that happened in the previous 8 books. So basically this is just a recap of what has already happened, which you're supposed to read before you read book 9, which I also do own and I really do want to read. So I ended up reading like 540-ish pages of this book, and then the month ended. So unfortunately I didn't finish it, so I had like 200 and something pages left. But yeah, I got a big chunk through it, and definitely feel like it was a little bit too long. I am enjoying the novella, which is where I'm at this point, but sort of the recap was good because it's been a while since I finished the 8th book, so that was a good refresher. But then just all the fauna and like the potions and like it's just a little bit much. I felt like this could have been shortened down by a lot, because this is like 740 something pages, so yeah. And then I also started reading House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. This was not a book I was planning to read, but for a reading vlog, I am reading it. So basically we meet Bryce, and she's half fae, half human, and all of her werewolf friends sort of get killed by this demon that may or may not have been summoned by this guy that the werewolves basically put in prison. And that's where I'm at. I've read about 100 pages in this book, and it's a hunker. It's like over 800 pages. Definitely not a series I was planning on reading, because I don't know. Anyways, it's interesting so far, but I'm definitely not hooked on it yet. But I have heard other people say that it's sort of a slow start and takes some time to get into. So we'll see how it goes with that one. But yeah, those are basically the books I'm continuing on into the month of February. But yeah, if you've read any of these books, please let me know down below what you thought about them, without spoiling, of course. If you read anything else during the month of January, and hopefully you read a lot more than I did, yeah, let me know that as well. And yeah, I hope we see each other in the next one.